Tony Stewart has jumped out to a 1.5-second lead over Jeff Burton right now. One Pontiac, 2 Fords, and 2 Chevys in the top 5.
Welcome back to the Virginia 500, presented by Yamaha. We're live at Martinsville Speedway. Virginia is for lovers, and if you love short track racing, well, you're in the right spot. The oldest and shortest track of the Hollywood Hotel with Jeff Hammond observing with Tony Stewart leading at the moment. Jeff Gordon came in on the pole, still looking for his first victory of the year, and currently running 5th.
Well, right now, Chris, he got kind of caught up after that first round of pit stops and wound up back in traffic. And I think he's just really being smart. It's a long race. You got to save your brakes. You got to keep the nose on the car. I think he's in a position where he kind of likes what he sees.
And Jeff Burton, a part of Roush Racing, he's one of the guys who haven't won so far this year.
No, but they've been looking pretty good at different times. And this is a racetrack that they've run well at before. Jeff at one time was very, very dominant in places like Loudon, so to find himself running well at Martinsville doesn't surprise me at all. Again, he and Frank Stoddard, if they get their pit strategy right, they again could win today.
Currently running second. We've had 4 leaders, 4 different lead changes, and 4 cautions. Let's go back upstairs now. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, and Darrell Waltrip.
Mike, one thing I'm noticing, Larry, is there's a second, every week we talk about a second groove. Normally, Martinsville doesn't have a good second groove, outside groove, but there's a lot of cars making good passes and passing a lot of cars by going up in the outside groove and getting by them. You don't see that a lot here, but I think that maybe, Larry, the truck race yesterday, that bottom's getting a lot of rubber on it, might be getting a little slick.
A guy that qualified pretty good, Rusty Wallace, brand new race car here. He's sitting back here in 16th position. He's kind of caught up in traffic right now. It's Bobby Labonte in 18, Kurt Busch in the 97. I want to show you, this is the right rear suspension. We're looking at the gear right here, and what this is right here, it's a rear end pump. That's what's pumping the rear end fluid to cool it. And you see, this is the trailing arm right here, and what they have this brake duct on the trailing arm. The hose runs up here to cool the right rear brake. This is probably about a 250, 275 pound rear spring. Get about 3.5, 4 inches of travel down in the corner. A lot of movement back there, but I think that also shows you how bumpy this place is. All the way through this concrete, you talked about it earlier, Darrell, it's not bumps as much as it's chatter. And the more the race goes on, the rubber builds up down there, and that becomes even more of an issue, just pop, 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 all the way through the corner.
If you watch that spring, he's just coming out in 3 and 4. It's smoother, but when he gets down here to turns 1 and 2, watch this thing do that bop, 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 bop we're talking about, right through. See it do all that chatter right there? That's where you have real tough time hooking the thing up.
On the exit of the corner. Now this will be on the right front right here. This is on the 55 car, Bobby Hamilton. Look at the brake rotor glowing, right in there. It glows all the way the time he's on it, backs off the brake, puts the throttle back up. You see that this will be going back down in the corner. See how red it gets? That's happening 1,000 times a race, Jeff.
Yes, Larry. We talked about it a little bit earlier in our pre-race. You've got to really concentrate on keeping the brakes cool. You can see how hot they get. Temperatures sometimes exceed almost 1,400 degrees. So if you have a problem with cooling your brakes, it doesn't take very long for them to fail. Boil the fluid, and you know what happens next, Darrell. You'll be pumping that bad boy going down in the corner.
That's why you got to have really good brake coolers, and that's why riding along by yourself as much as you can with that front end wide open, getting plenty of fresh air, will pay off at the end of the day.
Tony Stewart, he's pulled out to almost a 3-second lead, but he's just about getting into some lap traffic. Mike Skinner up there in the 4 car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. Nate, this is a battle for second. Again, 3 seconds behind leader Tony Stewart.
And you watch how quickly that lead dissipates when he runs up into this lap traffic, because they're not going to move over and just let him go.
There's the interval on Fox Tracks, and there's Elliott Sadler going around off of turn 4. That is going to be a break for some drivers.
No caution. No caution. He got going. No caution.
Okay, that's no break for anybody.
No.
It's a tough break for Jeff Green, who is the next car right in front of Tony Stewart.
Yeah, Tony had him passed, and when the caution came out, or they thought it was going to, he slowed down, let Jeff go back by, but back to business.
Elliott Sadler has always struggled here in a Winston Cup car. I don't believe he's ever qualified for a race on time at this speedway.
That 21 car. Oh. Other than when Pearson won here back in the 70s or 60s, wherever it was, it's about the only time they've ever run good here.
Show you what happened to Sadler way back coming around that corner. And there he goes.
Got a little help from Kurt Busch in the 97 car.
Well, again, it's slick off that corner. That new patch right there causes your car to be a little loose, and then you get a little help from the rear, one of your friends, and around you go.
I mean, these cars running around like a freight train. You jump back in the throttle, he jumps back in the throttle, your car gets a little loose, you have to come out. What's he going to do? He's going to stay in the throttle? Little tap.
It's a love thing.
Martinsville love thing.
That's right. It's a love. Where's the love?
This is about to look not lovely right here.
See, he had a spin there earlier. He figured the thing out now. I can spin her around and keep going.
The Wood brothers, number 21 won here in 1968 with Cale Yarborough and 1973 with David Pearson.
Finally, after about 35 or 40 laps, Dale Earnhardt Jr. gets Mike Skinner just a little out of shape, takes second place, open the door for Jeff Gordon and Ricky Craven in the 32 car. Mike will probably go all the way from second back to fifth.
Now, Darrell, on the force meter, how much difference is there between bump 'em and dump 'em?
Well, yeah, you can tell the difference. You know, there are two guys that know what's going on. You start to get in the throttle, and all of a sudden you got to lift up a little bit, and you get hit from the rear. You can't be mad at the guy behind you. But if you're doing a good job, you're driving off the corner, all of a sudden somebody just rams into you, that'll get your attention and make you very unhappy. And you'll be like Jimmy Spencer. You probably
never
won't forget.
Earnhardt Jr. now the second place car with Jeff Gordon, the pole sitter, third. There is the interval on Fox Tracks to race leader Tony Stewart.
And one of the tough things for being at the back of the field, at the back of the pack, is when somebody like Tony gets it going, gets everything working, and he marches through the field like he is. He's not being held up by slow cars, catching them and passing them. That means you're going to be in trouble in a hurry.
But Darrell, since that wreck at Darlington, this is the second short track we've run. Is this a really tough place for Tony? He's had a couple of weeks to try to heal up, but what about it?
This joint is physically demanding. You got to use your legs, you got to use your arms. Even though it's a small racetrack, it's very physically demanding. You're always fighting the steering wheel. You think about qualifying, Mike, how everybody's hands were just all over the place. You do that for 500 laps.
But Stewart is the leader now by 4 seconds over Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Robbie Gordon. Ricky Craven, Mike Skinner, the top five, then Terry Labonte and Bobby Hamilton. Welcome back to Martinsville. 160 laps complete, where the only change in the top 10 is Ricky Rudd moving up to 10th, displacing Jeff Burton. Andy Hillenberg and Casey Atwood, the only cars in the garage at 161 laps. We come up on 1/3 distance. Jerry Nadeau was leading at the last restart. He's fallen back to 13th. Make that 14th now as Bobby Labonte moves past.
Now, I think the big problem with Jerry Nadeau, he's getting up there about 130, 140 laps on his tires. That's when it really starts sliding around, and he's probably only another 30 or so laps away from having to come to pit road because he's going to need fuel and tires.
Yeah, that gamble, I mean, you know, all those early cautions, sometimes we get into a situation where we have a lot of long green laps, and boy, that can bite you.
Johnny Benson fighting hard to stay on the lead lap against Tony Stewart.
Those guys, Hermie Sadler and Johnny Benson both have held Tony up for quite a while here, but I don't think it's enough to make a lot of difference. Tony's car is working so good, he can just, if he's patient, he just finally works his way right around them.
And you know what will happen in Martinsville? Yeah, as Tony Stewart, the leader, catches traffic, that helps Jeff Gordon, the 24
Trouble,
car.
turn two, Robbie Gordon. No caution.
If he can get to pit road, I doubt he'll be able to get to pit road this time. Looks like he has a flat right front. He will not get to pit road.
Better watch out, hauling off in the third turn there. She got a right front down.
He's going to lose a lot of laps.
Be smooth, bud.
It's Tim Overby, a spotter, trying to find him a hole where he can get to the bottom. He's about a half a lap from having to get back to try to get pit road again. And the leader's coming.
Tough day for Richard Childress Racing. Driver Kevin Harvick parked by NASCAR, not allowed to compete. Jeff Green, not very competitive. And now Robbie Gordon with a cut tire.
And that could be a product of a cut tire, or it could be the heat, the brake heat, causing that right front tire to blow out.
And what it'll do, there's a bead that seals against the rim. That rim will absorb so much heat, it'll just cook the bead of the tire. The bead is much tougher than it used to be, but still, if you're using a lot of brake, it won't take that much.
Guys, we got brakes better here. Goodyear had to go to work and make the bead of the tire tougher than it ever been, and it's just a product of this racetrack.
14th place at stake here. Rusty Wallace restarted 21st.
Clear all around. All
was well
clear.
back after pit stops, and now Dale Jarrett.
All right, get your box now. Get your rhythm.
And Daryl, it don't look like Rusty in the 2. He can't keep his car down in the middle, and in turn, it will not get a bite up off the corner. He's like having to pedal the throttle off the corner.
I was watching him there, and he takes a real wide, he gets a late apex into the turn. He's been leaving the bottom wide open for everybody, and I guess that's because his car is probably too tight, Steve.
The DW, Rusty is telling Billy Wilburn, his crew chief, that he's loose getting off the corners, and also to further complicate matters, that's a brand new race car for Rusty Wallace. It has never been raced or tested. Caution's out.
Well, Brett, now, this is an old short track trick, and we are at a short track. You have trouble, you pull up in turn 2 and you stop. The yellow flag waves, and on you go. So,
yeah, I couldn't believe it. Robbie Gordon didn't do that. He hung up on the outside to stop. And Hermie gets saved again. He gets a lap back.
so do drivers like Rusty Wallace.
Oh, he did not get a lap back. I thought he was passing the leader there.
Brett, again, looks like the same sort of problem. Cuts down a tire.
Yeah, I mean, in turn, Robbie Gordon's 4 laps down. Brett Bodine now only lost 1 lap by stopping on the racetrack and the caution coming out. Quite a difference.
There is, however, the possibility of a judgment call as to whether or not Bodine was unable to move. Maybe he cut the tire and the car stalled, or
Just never know. That's a judgment thing.
drew the caution.
And we speculate the same thing might have happened to Brett Bodine, because we are getting a report that the bead on the right front of the 31 car, Robbie Gordon, it did melt the bead, and that's just too much brake heat.
Lots of brake heat here. Well over 1,000 degrees for a lot of laps.
We should see about all the leaders to pit road, because most of them's been out there for almost 100 laps. So everybody should come to pit road, 4 tires, adjustments, full up with fuel.
Now this will put Hermie Sadler, Johnny Benson on the tail end of the lead lap should they choose to stay out. Here come the leaders, and you'll follow Fox tracks to find their pit stalls. Matt?
Mike, on the previous pit stop, Tony Stewart made a track bar adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. This stop, Greg Zipadelli, his crew chief, said, "What do you want this time, Smokey?" Says, I don't know, 4 tires is all right, that's what you get. Steve Burns?
Well, Matt, Jeff Gordon's only adjustment, a ½ pound out of the right rear tire. 4 tire change for Jeff Gordon. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car, 1 pound out of both rear tires. Gordon is out.
Dick Berggren.
Jeff Burton just came in. He took 4 tires, took a round of wedge in the left rear. They really badly needed that pit stop, Mike. They figured they could only go about 20 more laps on the fuel that they had in the car. Tires were pretty well worn out. Made an air pressure adjustment. He had dropped from 2nd all the way back to 13th spot.
Dale Jarrett in his pit, but out of the box. Backed it in, and now they complete service. Hermie Sadler and Johnny Benson did pit, so they will not be in front of the leaders on the tail end of the lead lap when we restart.
And the rear winners on pit road, Terry Labonte's group, he comes in 6th, goes out 4th. Ricky Rudd came in 10th, goes out 6th. Boy, it's like buying a lot of laps out there on that racetrack trying to pass cars. Much easier to pass them on pit road.
Make that old driver happy.
Jeff?
Michael's sitting there watching the guys come off pit road again, and this pit road is bit. Bill Elliott, he got caught coming off pit road and got put down a lap.
So Elliott goes a lap down. Tony Stewart retains the lead here in Martinsville. Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Terry Labonte, and Mike Skinner. Whoa.
Clear.
You got to be fast on pit road and not just making your pit stop. As Stacy